Hello, I'm Deborah Malone, founder of The Internationalist and host of Internationalist Marketing TV. Today's guests are Julie Chan, Global Media Director for OTC, and Farhad Nadeem, Senior Global Director of Marketing and Digital for Nasal Health at Haleon. Julie, Farhad, I am so thrilled to see you both with a new company logo and to welcome you to the show. It's been too long, but what a pleasure to see you both.
Hi, Deb. It's great to see you too.
Yeah, really glad to be here, Deb. Nice to meet you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, look, why don't we start very broadly before we discuss the extraordinary Panadol and Otrivin initiatives. Over the last several months, you've both been part of something called a demerger. So GSK Consumer Health is now Haleon. Can you both talk a little bit about that experience and what it means to both brands and to marketing?
Sure. It's actually a very, very exciting time. As a matter of fact, today we had a Haleon celebration here in our Neon, Switzerland campus to celebrate a new company. We're so happy to be the largest OTC company, a standalone company now with great brands. It's just been a great spirit and a once in a lifetime career process.
I mean, I have to agree. I mean, the key feeling I have when I think about this time is it's got the feeling of a startup. It's like everyone has that excitement. So it's got the same feel and excitement, and you see it in everyone's eyes. And with the brands that we have, we've got the best of both. We've got like something that has heritage, but we also have that renewed, or I would say a completely new vigor towards achieving our mission. So it's kind of an interesting time.
It is interesting, and it's interesting that you say that because I think a number of companies in a post-COVID world are going through a lot of reevaluation and thinking through how they better connect to their customers in that we are living in very much of a changed world. And I think that that concept of startup excitement is something that many larger corporations are embracing now, just that because that sense of innovation that it brings.
That's right. And behind that, the mission of our company is to bring everyday health with humanity to all of the people around the world. So personally, for me, what could be more exciting to combine my professional career with something that really matters to me?
Yeah, I mean, being a healthcare company, especially today, the last 2-3 years have taught us how important health is and self-care, especially. Unfortunately, the way we found out was probably not the best one, but being a healthcare company puts us in the unique position to really genuinely make material impacts on people's lives. So we're, I suppose, in a position to do more and to do more good with the current context, and we look at that as an opportunity to now help people build more of a self-care culture. And we try and live it ourselves as well as bring people in. And when we talk about the projects, we kind of see how we've tried to do it.
Absolutely.
Well, that's interesting that you say that because it sets me up to talk about one of the case studies, because there's no question that the last 3 years have been monumental. But I also think that Julie, you did something quite remarkable with the Panadol Take Care post-vaccine initiative that you headed. Yes, it won a Grand Prix in the Internationalist Awards for Media Innovation, but what impressed the judges most was how extensive the program was in terms of multinational, multi-channel, and full funnel initiatives, but also how the results were off the charts. And I know this was a difficult time for people and a transitional time for healthcare. But why don't you start by giving us background on that entire initiative?
Deb, I'm smiling because it's one of my favorite things to talk about, a program near and dear after my heart. But first, I have to say today I'm here representing the Panadol team. The key leader who was the brainchild behind this program, Jiki Martia, could not be here today. As a matter of fact, she's moved on into the Sensodyne team from the Panadol team. And as a result of this program, she won the GSK Marketer of the Year award last year. And it just shows you how much we should recognize her leadership in this whole program. But if you think about Panadol, Take Care, of course, it all starts with the consumer insight. During COVID, everyone was scared. Many people were sick. Many people had doubts about the vaccine, and with all the information and disinformation, what were people supposed to believe? So Panadol had the unique opportunity to talk to people all over the world about post-vaccine symptoms and then how Panadol could help. And the reason why I believe it's so popular, it came naturally from the brand. Panadol is always ranked one of the most trusted brands in the world. Panadol is also safe and suitable for 98% of the population in the world. So it's even safe, for example, for diabetics, for teenagers, for pregnant women, for the elderly. So who more than Panadol could be in a trusted position to help people during this very, very scared time learn more about how to alleviate injection site pains, fever, and all of the other symptoms that came with the vaccine.
But what I found amazing, and maybe you can talk to this point, was just how quickly in the midst of a crisis, you were able to pull this together for so many countries of the world with extensive media efforts. Would you address that or how
Yes.
difficult that was?
It goes to a testament to our leader, Jiki, who pulled this together literally from a temporary apartment bedroom during the height of COVID. And it goes to how universal Panadol is. And with that one insight, people are nervous during the pandemic and want to know how to treat their vaccination symptoms. That it was very easy. I'm not going to say easy, that's the wrong word. It was easy to address it universally and globally with a toolkit and assets that speak to that. And you talked before about the full funnel nature of it and the 360-degree nature of it, starting with healthcare professionals. Pharmacists, of course, is the backbone. Consumer outreach, digital, social media, traditional bus shelters. There were even programs for quick delivery post-vaccine injections. And I think that just the similar global fears and similar way Panadol is perceived as a trusted brand with over 65 years of heritage just made it easy to put together assets that address a very, very unique problem. So it was no small feat. People worked the night and day to get that done. But you could see by the 90% market adoption where Panadol plays, universally used with universally great results, growing faster than the category, with record market share in all of the markets where that campaign ran.
It was just extraordinary, and I hope that we can also do a link to maybe the case study, because it's almost overwhelming in the amount of work that you did in each market. I'm just going to turn now just on something slightly different, but very much related to Farhad, because you also championed the Otrivin Air Bubble initiative. And again, the effort not only won a gold in our Internationalist Media Awards, but it was also mentioned as one of the top 12 campaigns in our Marketing Makes a World of Difference program. And I realize that as a world leader in nasal decongestion, Otrivin wanted to make a point about the need to reduce the impact of air pollution on nasal health. Can you tell us what you did? Because the programs are very, very different. And I just found it just amazingly imaginative. Would you explain that to us?
No, absolutely. First of all, we're very humbled and grateful for the recognition. And certainly, I mean, Otrivin This started off as a pilot, as a twinkle in the eye of somebody pre-COVID. But I think one thing it was very much an evolutionary experiment. So I think it's interesting, the contrast between what we had with Panadol Take Care. This was addressing a need that we are, or a fight that all of us are all too well aware of, which is air pollution.
Mm-hmm.
And we started sharpening the conversation around, well, the starting point was, why should the brand talk about it? And Otrivin, we believe that it's a brand about more than just nasal decongestion. And certainly as we talk about everyday health, the long-term destination for the brand was, what is the true reason that people buy Otrivin? And we realize it's better breathing. Nasal decongestion leads to better breathing, and that was the right articulation of benefit that the brand had to stand for. Once we had kind of sort of set ourselves that destination, we said, what is the biggest fight that prevents people from breathing their best? And we realized it's air pollution, and especially children who developmentally suffer the most, because if you think about the economics of air pollution, children pollute the least, but because they're at a certain height where dense air pollutants tend to settle, they suffer the most. And we said, well, that's what we want to shine a spotlight on. And we said we would evolve our story. So the first thing we said is, let's shine a spotlight on the fact that children are disproportionately affected by air pollution. And we said that what is a way to capture that in a way that doesn't feel as if we're just shining a spotlight and then going away without a solution. What could we offer? And there we said, what if we could clean the air children breathe? So that was the basic twinkle in the eye. And it led to the development of an air purifying playground, the first of its kind, which employed the power of nature and biomimicry, because it employed microalgae that actually cleans, metabolizes carbon dioxide and pollutants and releases oxygen. But the other interesting aspect was that it was interactive. So children would play in the playground and they would pump air through their play into the actual microalgae, which would activate them. So it's the more you play, the better you breathe. So that was the genesis of the idea around, what if we could do small actions that improve or at least reduce our exposure to air pollution. And it was the beginning of a journey. And it's interesting that we're sitting here with a version of the air bubble right now, standing over there, because we felt it should bring it home, show it to the people who stand for the brand.
It's very exciting to finally see and go into the air bubble as if you were a child. So it's so exciting to have the air bubble here in our Haleon campus for our day one celebration.
Yeah. Deb will invite you to the next location, so you don't have to take our word for it.
Absolutely. I'm sure that it's very busy at lunchtime, huh?
Yeah.
A lot of people want playing more and breathing better.
No, in Poland, we had 50,000 visits over a 6-month period. It was a bona fide high traffic location. Nothing like that in Warsaw had ever happened before.
Now that you mentioned Warsaw, now that was where it was initially installed. Is that correct?
That's right. We did it in April 2021. So last year, in association with the Copernic Museum, which is a fantastic landmark for science and great for children. That was the first location. And then we had a version of it at the Climate Summit in November in Glasgow, same year.
Yeah, cool. What an
yeah.
accomplishment, Farhad.
For our little brand to be there in the center of the world's conversation, yeah, it was. It's still surreal, but we're not giving up. I mean, it's we still think we can do more.
Well, no, I think that's what drives us all. It's great not to settle with success, but continue on and keep morphing it almost. You said something very interesting. You said, why should the brand talk about this? And I think that is one of the things that's changing more. as we go from a one-way conversation with consumers to really trying to have more, you also mentioned interactive, to having more of a two-way conversation. And I'm curious as to maybe what you think about that, because our world of media is changing and our world of even digital opportunities are changing. So just curious as to where you think that we're going with these opportunities.
Well, I think the sky is the limit. Anything is possible. Today's definition of media is not the same definition that we even had 2 years ago. I think you always have to step back to what does the brand stand for and what are the brand goals. And then naturally, with the smart people that surround us, we think of different ways to execute, especially in the area of experiences, where we can touch and feel and smell and experience, not just watch or absorb, to really get that deep engagement, going after those, the humanity that we want to.
Yeah, it
I agree. I
sounds,
mean,
yeah, go ahead, Farhad.
it's a great story will percolate and will become a great, will become bigger. I've realized that whenever I've had, as a marketer, a weaker story, you tend to focus more on, the aspect of how do I push this through the various communication channels I have. And like you said, people can now very easily spot something that's not genuine. So as human beings, for example, the air bubble story, I asked myself, is this opportunist? Is it presumptuous? And I can honestly, and I'll say this, unapologetically, I believe it was a conversation worth starting, and it was a great story to tell, and we may have built one, but my idea always was this will provoke thought. So a great story. And when you see people there, you realize that, the cynicism, it's interesting. People, I found, we tend to maybe think people will be more cynical than perhaps they are. And I found that if you have a good, genuine story, people are actually, they will engage. I mean, we're not inherently evil, cynical, as a species. So when you look at the air bubble at the COP, one thought we had was it's a very kind of sensitive environment. It's just putting ourselves out there. But frankly, that conviction that it's a good story, it organically allowed us to converse without any kind of inauthenticity, as you referred. So yeah, I agree that that good story will translate itself into great experiences. And it just makes the job of communicating easier if you've got a good, authentic story.
Have these efforts, these extraordinary efforts, have they changed your ideas about what actually works today in terms of both making a business difference and a difference to consumers? I know that consumers and purpose are at the heart of what you do, but also, marketing, people are more accountable for business outcomes than they ever were before. I'm just curious as to how much these efforts might have changed your thinking.
Well, for me, it's taught me a couple of things, but the first is anything is possible, right? When there's a will, there's a way. But more importantly, when there's a need, a true need, there's a way to get things done. So it speaks to speed and agility and the need to be agile. So I think I look at things differently now through the lens of agile. For goodness sakes, we are a for-profit business. We cannot forget we are a commercial company. So obviously, we want to deliver products and programs with humanity, but we cannot forget the commercialization that needs to come off as very genuine and not fake or doing things, as Farhad said, just for the sake of doing them. Mm-hmm. And that's really hard, Deb. That's really hard to marry doing good marketing with good outreach, trying to find those underserved communities and really make a difference. So if you think about what the skills needed nowadays for being a successful brand marketer, they're totally different even than what they were 5 or 10 years ago. I think it's something that the industry is grappling with. Deb, I think it's really important when you think about the skills needed today for marketers. They're not what they were just 5 or even 6 years ago. We need to think about true brand building with doing good in a genuine and authentic way and building it together. Of course, always remembering that we're a commercial business. Would you agree, Farhad?
I agree. I mean, especially in the skill thing, the way, I mean, I kind of, maybe it's an oversimplification, but I mean, I've done the balance between purpose-driven messaging and the more rational, product, 99% this or 2 times this. I think definitely humans are non-rational, not irrational, but non-rational animals. They make their decisions based on all 5 senses, not on what the claim says. That's my personal belief. But we've always balanced between the merits of both. I think for me, it's a question of scale. You can do something like the air bubble, which is a really deep, immersive experience that will remain with you. And we have data that shows that it does associate with the brand, and it just takes the brand equity through the roof, which is good. So there is good ROI if you look at it from a single instant. The minute you start asking, now, how do I take this global, is where it becomes difficult, because that's where the cost question comes in. So I think the beauty of an immersive experience based around a authentic purpose-built story and the need to get business through scale, the bridge between that is technology, because you have immersive experiences that you can make available to scale. Take the metaverse, for instance. If you do want to get the best of both things, metaverse and other aspects of enabling technology that give you the scale that you need to drive the business, but gives you the richness of that storytelling that one sort of event or that deep immersive experience can bring. So I like looking at it like that. And the skill set that you want to develop, or people who will win, is who develops that, who builds that bridge the best. How do you use technology to bring those 2 things together? So we're kind of, obviously we're learning as we're going. I think that's another aspect which goes without saying. I don't think anyone's really cracked a formula on this, because the world changes every 2 weeks. But I kind of simplify it to that. Build that bridge, and that's how you connect those 2 things, doing good and, doing well.
Well said.
Thank you.
No, very, very interesting. And I think that we're going to see a little bit more on that scale, or that tug of war between purpose and profits, as we see if we're entering some uncertain economic times as we move on. But I think you've summarized it well. You've both said some amazing things that will, I think, help many marketers everywhere in the world think a little bit differently. Your work has been extraordinary. The examples are just inspiring. And I sincerely hope that you're back to talk to us more about not only your thoughts, but some more of these extraordinary examples.
Well, thank you. Thanks so much.
No, absolutely. Stay tuned. There will be more.
Excellent. That's what I love to hear. Wonderful. Okay. Oh, pleasure to talk to you both. The Internationalist focuses on the continual reinvention of marketing by highlighting inspirational marketers around the world and their ideas as they move the industry forward. Internationalist Marketing TV shares these perspectives through interviews and personal stories.